All right, it's finally time to start taking the bulk of this stuff down. As I mentioned in the previous video, I'm not getting rid of the glass cabinet, the signs, nothing like that. They're just going to go to the store to double jump and we'll use them as display items there. But all of the Mega Man figures and bobbleheads, all of the games, all the special edition stuff, the plushies, the accessories, the consoles that are up top, all that stuff will be sold. I'm still deciding exactly how I'm going to do that, but I know it's going through the store for sure. If you missed the last video, definitely check it out because I explained this stuff in more detail. But for now, let's get all this stuff off the wall and make room to expand more Nintendo. Except for the signs and the cabinet there, that is all of the PlayStation 2 stuff. There was a little bit on these little shelves here. There was a little bit right there. And then obviously this entire section here is now empty. So when I do move this cabinet, you can see that these shelves right here, they're hanging off the edge and there's no support for them. So I'm thinking of sliding them over till they're right about there. I might have to put another bracket going down the center here, but eventually these shelves and these shelves should be even and together. This entire wall might end up just having to be the Switch collection because there's so many games, but yeah, I might have to be at a stopping point for today. I knew that this wasn't going to be a one-day project, and my entire table here in the game room is completely full of PS2 games now, so I'm not really sure what more I can do until I have some big totes to box up all this stuff and get it out of the way. There's nowhere else to really put anything, even if I just wanted to move the Switch games over, like, what am I gonna do? So, I guess I'll be back next weekend to complete this project, hopefully. Maybe it'll take even longer. Well guys, it's been a week since the last clip. It is now Saturday again. And I've had some time to kind of think and decide what I want to do with like rearranging the game room here because I have so much more room now. And I'm still kind of deciding on that. It's not an easy thing because the shelves that I have in here now, they're not all the same size or the same width. So I can't just visually look at a collection and say, oh, it'll fit here. I actually have to either take measurements or just physically start moving stuff. So I'm still deciding on that. One thing though that I have decided on is put about half of it into my store now, which is mostly the filler, the cheaper, and the easier to find kind of stuff. And then save the other half, which is the hard to find, the rare, or the expensive, for the new store. And I've actually already begun this process, actually like physically sorting the PS2 into these two categories. It's about 50-50, meaning that about half the games were like 15 to 20 bucks or higher. The other half were below that price point. And I've already put a quarter of the collection of PS2 at the store. The other quarter, which is the second part of the cheap stuff, is physically at the store, but it's not entered or for sale just yet. PS1, I might just hold the entire thing for the new store, I'm not sure. Hopefully the new store happens before, you know, maybe a lot of people are thinking. And if that does happen, then won't really be that big of a difference either way. But for now, I need to what is going right here. My first thought is to just take the Nintendo Switch, move it over here, and then, you know, maybe expand onto this side if I need it. I think that makes the most sense because Switch is the console that I'm adding the most games for every month. And I can't fit them all. The only problem is that this cabinet is going to be moving. I just tried to move one of these shelves over to see if it would reach to there, and it does not without coming off of that little bracket there. So it means I need to buy and cut new boards for all of this shelving here to fill in this gap once this PlayStation cabinet is gone. This is unfortunately not something that I can do this weekend. So I originally thought that this video would only take me 2 weekends to do. I thought that I would finish it this weekend, but we had some stuff going on that is unrelated, and it makes it so that I just don't have time to work on this. So I can't go to Home Depot or Lowe's and get these boards and then pull our table saw out of the out of the shed and cut them and do all this stuff. I just simply don't have time. So I'm going to move some stuff today, but in the future, I'm going to have to do that and cut new boards. And so there'll be some more rearranging later on. Maybe I'll just do that off camera. And then I guess eventually once everything is done and once we have moved to the new store, because so much of my big stuff in here is going to the store, then once the game room is all reset up after all that, we'll probably do another room tour because it's gonna be so different than it is right now. Little things like this and this make it hard to want to keep working when I could just give them some little pets. Zelda, oh, sweet baby. So the Switch games here are going to move there and then probably continue on that first little section there. I'm thinking in this space, I can maybe put the Virtual Boy and maybe even Game Boy and some other random stuff, whatever I can fit there to fill it out, but obviously have lots of room to expand Switch still. And then once the PlayStation games are gone, I was thinking maybe the NES games that are here can move over here because I'm also out of room for NES. You can kind of see if I back up here, I can maybe fit like 1 or 2 more games, but it's pretty much full. So I just realized that I accidentally did this wrong. The games on the right here are supposed to be over here. So let me fix that. There we go. During the process of moving everything over, I found a couple duplicates here, which I expected. These are factory sealed games that I was replacing with opened copies, but since I couldn't fit the games on the shelf when I got the opened ones, I wasn't putting them away after doing the pickup videos. I was just setting them to the side, so I knew about this, but I actually got around to doing it now. So these are going back to the store along with the PlayStation collection. This is one of the sadder parts to me personally about getting rid of my PS2 collection, because as I think I mentioned maybe in either the previous video or earlier in this one, since I have the game store, I can play any of these games almost whenever I want to, right? Something like Baldur's Gate or Champions of Norath, we get traded in all the time. We constantly have them coming through the store. So if I get the urge to play one, I can play it. But this right here, this was such a big goal of mine. These are all of my OEM PS2 memory cards, and I was going to have one per game for the full library of North American titles that were released. And it was a very ambitious goal, and one that unfortunately now I won't be able to accomplish, at least not soon, right? Just because I'm getting rid of the PlayStation collection doesn't mean that I'm like done collecting PlayStation for the rest of my life. If we ever do get to build a house and I get to design the game room from the ground up literally and have it be, 4 times bigger than this room, I will definitely start collecting Sega and PlayStation and Xbox, and maybe not like everything. I probably won't collect like Commodore and Odyssey 2, but there is a lot of stuff that I would like to collect again. So in the future, maybe I can bring this goal back, but this is going to be a pretty nice selection of memory cards for Double Jump. I don't think we're gonna have to buy third-party ones for maybe ever, because there are literally multiple hundreds of them right here, all different colors, some Japanese exclusive ones as well. So I think we're gonna be pretty well stocked for years to come. So it's now the next week. We're on week 3 of making this video, and you can see some shelves behind me here are empty. So I'm going to show you guys what I have done, but also I wanted to explain real quick, the intro that you saw for this video was not supposed to be the intro. That was clip like number 5 or 6. When I originally started filming this video, something happened and the microphone was not working, so I had no audio for a bunch of clips, and I've had to delete 5, 6, or 7 clips from this video. Luckily, that clip that we did use for the intro works as the intro, but it wasn't intended to be. I actually thought until today that this entire video was gonna be scrapped, and didn't realize that most of the clips had audio. It was just a few that didn't, so luckily we're salvaging it. So here are the empty shelves where the NES games used to be. And as you can see, there's nothing left. I moved the NES games over here where the PS1 games used to be. and I think that this looks way, way better. I had the NES games displayed on the shelf this way on the other spot because I just couldn't fit them. But since this is a lot bigger of an area for them to go, I can have them going this way, which I prefer. I have the same thing for Super Nintendo and N64. I don't love it, but there's not much I can do about it for those. But I like having them displayed this way. Makes the collection look better, but also makes it look bigger. And as you can see, there is room to add games onto every single shelf, which is what I was hoping for. In addition to those, I also cleaned up the Wii accessories up here, and I moved the Wii consoles here and the Switch consoles there, and I added a few more things to the wall. And unfortunately now, the game room is a complete disaster. There's stuff everywhere. You can't really see too much, but I know you can see this pile of stuff. And a lot of the PlayStation stuff is going to the store. At this point in the video, I have decided and have actually already started selling some of the stuff now. So I did go with option 3 from the previous video. So I took about half of the PS2 game to the store already. We've already processed all of it and put it out for sale. And it's all of the like more inexpensive or more common stuff. Anything that is a little bit harder to find, really most of like the RPGs, the horror games, the more expensive stuff, that's all being held for the new store. I've also decided to hold all of the PlayStation 1 stuff for the new store as well because we just don't get a lot of PS1 games traded in, and it's gonna be really nice to have this amazing selection for our grand opening. So that's what we're doing. Unfortunately, in the meantime, the stuff just kind of has to sit here because I don't have anywhere else for it to go. Our storage unit is kind of full and there's no room at the store right now, obviously. So it'll just be sitting here for a while, but that does mean that once we do move to the new store, not only is all of this PlayStation stuff going, but also like the cabinet, the signs, I have other statues and stuff like Mario here that are all going to the new store. So once that happens, this room is going to be changing quite a bit. A lot more than it was going to before I decided to get rid of the PlayStation stuff. So make sure you stick around and subscribe because we're going to be doing another room tour, probably early 2026 if I'm being honest, but still, it's going to be a massive change from what the previous room tour was, and everything's going to be able to be displayed much better, and I'm super excited for that. But I think I'm gonna end the video here, guys. I don't really have much more that I can do. I'm gonna move the Game Boy games to where the NES games used to be. But that's kind of it. Maybe a few other things will change here and there, but you'll see that in the next room tour. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.